Today I'll be reviewing the brand new flyboy model by microbrand Aviate. This is a brand that I've personally been a big fan of for a few years now, so when they got in touch asking to send me a watch for review, I was happy to say the least. This flyboy is a limited edition model, with only 300 of each colourway being made. But not only is this a limited edition piece, it's also an official collaboration with gaming giants Capcom, who have created some of the biggest games of all time, including Resident Evil. But this model is based around a vintage war game called 1942. But we'll cover that in detail and so much more in today's video. So let's get started. But before we get into the watch, let me give you a quick introduction to the Aviate brand. Aviate was founded in 2012. It is part of the Dartmouth Group, which is a company that owns various watch brands including Spinnaker and Aviate. Since its inception, Aviate primarily focuses on creating pilot watches, with the name Aviate being a take on the word aviation. They produce a range of different styles of pilot watches, including classic Flieger designs, modern chronographs, and interesting contemporary, highly detailed pieces too. All of their watches focus on a few key principles. The watches tend to be highly legible, larger in size, and use modern, long-lasting materials. There aren't many brands that primarily focus on creating aviation watches, so it's nice to see a brand dedicating their craft to this style of watch. As mentioned earlier, this is a limited edition collaboration model. But what exactly is this a collaboration with? This Aviate flyboy is a collaboration with gaming company Capcom. In 1984, Capcom released a game called 1942. This is a vertically scrolling shooter game designed to be played on an arcade game machine, and this game is based around an aircraft battle during World War II. The goal of the game is simple: fly the plane towards Tokyo, Japan, and destroy the Japanese air fleet. The game became very popular after release, actually being the highest grossing arcade game in the United Kingdom for 5 months during 1987. The game was then developed to be played on gaming systems too, which saw the game become very popular in the Western market, selling over 1 million copies. The game was later re-released on PlayStation, Xbox, and even Game Boys. The 1942 game was a huge success for Capcom. It became the first game to see sequels due to its success, and to this day, it still sits as Capcom's 18th best-selling game of all time. So I think it's rather fitting that an aviation watch brand has collaborated with such a successful, thoroughly enjoyed aviation game. Okay, enough about the inspiration and the history of this watch. Let's get it unboxed and see if it's actually any good. First of all, the unboxing experience is special with this watch, with completely unique packaging that makes the watch feel exclusive. The outer cardboard box features the gaming artwork, with the inner box being a canvas chest with buttons. Opening the box up reveals the watch, a card which confirms that this is a limited edition watch, and a second supplied strap with a spring bar tool. This is a step above what other brands are offering around this price point, which is around $365 by the way. But you can get this watch for cheaper by using the 20% discount code by signing up to the website's newsletter, which brings the watch down to $292. I can't think of another watch that costs less than $300 that is offering this type of unboxing experience, so fair play to Aviate with this one. So the model we have in for review today is the Aviate Capcom 1942 Automatic Flyboy Limited Edition. This though is the Blue Ace version, but there's also an all black version available too if you want something a bit stealthier. Next, let's take a look at the specifications of the watch and see if this is where it falls short. The Capcom Flyboy comes with a full stainless steel construction, including solid end links, a milled double lock clasp, and a screw down caseback. Unfortunately, the large onion style crown is not screwed down, so this watch only has 50 meters of water resistance. Covering the dial we have a flat sapphire crystal with AR coating. Ticking away inside the flyboy we have the popular Seiko NH35 automatic movement, which of course means we have a date wheel at the 3 o'clock. There's lume throughout the dial and hands, which glows rather well. Even the small details on the dial have lume, which makes the watch feel alive, just like playing an old school arcade game machine when the lights go out. I'm happy to say that you get a 2-year warranty with this piece too, which is definitely worth something from a reputable brand like Aviate. Now let's take a look at the most impressive part of this watch in a bit more detail, that of course being the dial. We have a grained textured navy blue dial, which occasionally glistens in the sunlight and has a glittery effect. All the hour markers are applied, with pronounced numerals at the 12, 6 and 9. This is then continued to the chapter ring, which is also 3D in construction. construction, giving the dial multiple levels of depth. Through the middle of the dial you'll see various fighter planes, with the largest being down at the 6 o'clock. The text on the dial is kept rather minimal, with just a simple AV8, automatic and a limited edition printed down the vertical. The date window at the 3 has a yellow frame, which matches the colour of the markers, with a colour matched date wheel which features an 8-bit style font. The main handset is skeletonized and is a good size. The seconds hand is a lot of fun, with an aircraft counterbalance and a colour gradient that fades from red to green at the outer. The dial work here is impressive. They've managed to pack this thing full of detail while still keeping it highly legible. Also, all of the links to the 1942 video game are executed well. It had the chance to look like a bit of a toy, given the collaboration, but AV8 has nailed the design decisions with this one and it works coherently. Now there's a couple of small details on this watch that I think you might have missed that are worth pointing out. The first thing, and probably the most noticeable, is the Capcom engraving on the side of the case. I know a lot of you won't be big fans of this. I don't mind it. The inner clasp that sits against your wrist also has an engraving, which is the fighter plane that we've seen throughout the branding. I've never seen this before on a watch, and is a detail you'd likely miss without looking close enough. A similar image is printed on the watch's caseback, with a spec sheet printed on the outer. Here you'll also find your limited edition number, this one being number 15 out of 300. The crown is signed with the AV8 logo. The lume really brings out all of the details on this watch, and just shows you all of the work that has gone into making this one a bit of a special piece. The second supplied strap matches the aesthetics of the watch well, with a blue canvas centre, leather outer and cream stitching at the top. There's also an AV8 and 1942 branding stamped on the leather back. Again, great details here. Now let's get this watch on wrist and discuss the wearing experience. In typical pilot watch fashion, we have a larger case diameter, coming in at 41mm, but the lug to lug on this piece is only 49mm, which means that the watch should work on a variety of wrist sizes. The case thickness comes in at 12mm, which is just average. Nothing to complain or praise the watch about with that one. The lugs do shoot down towards the wrist though, which makes the watch wear great even on my 6.5-inch wrist. You do get a lot of dial with this watch, so it does look larger than the dimensions actually are, but the comfort is definitely here, especially with the negative end links on the bracelet. Okay, finally, let's go through the pros and the cons of this watch. For full disclosure, AV8 sent me this watch for free and I do not have to send it back, but they had no influence in the content or opinions of this review. So, the cons. I always like 100 meters of water resistance with a sporty watch like this. I think this could have been achieved with a screw down crown, but even some brands managed to achieve 100 meters by just using gaskets alone. Even though the date complication has been executed well with the colour matched wheel and cool font, I feel like this watch would have looked even better without a date function. Now, pros. This watch has a ton of detail, like a ridiculous amount, and you get a lot of detail for the money that you spend. I think this is a very cool collaboration that works very well with this style of watch. I think this is a super fun pilot's watch, completely different to the usual Flieger style you'll see from other brands. So I think if you want something a bit quirky, then this might just be a watch to check out. I'll leave a link to the official AV8 website down in the description, where you can find this model and the all black version too. If you liked this video and want some more top tier ticker, be sure to watch my video here on screen on 10 affordable watches that even snobs don't hate.